Caitlin Clark just broke 14 world records for Team USA in 7 days during the FIBA World Cup Qualifier in Puerto Rico. And somehow, that is not even the wildest part of this story. Because while Clark was casually rewriting the history books, Angel Reese was online having what can only be described as a full public meltdown. When you find out exactly what Reese said she deserved after her horrible performance, you are going to lose it. We have the receipts, the records, the stats, and the reaction. And it is hilarious. Do you think Angel Reese deserves to be on Team USA? Let me know in the comments below. Most players spend their whole international career chasing one record. Clark broke 14 in a single week, and she did most of it coming off the bench. This was the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico, 5 games in 7 days. Team USA rolling through the competition, and Caitlin Clark, 24 years old, making her very first appearance for the United States senior national team. Not a youth team, not a college exhibition, the senior program, her debut. And she had not played competitive basketball in 239 days before this tournament. That is important context because what happened next makes even less sense when you factor that in. Head coach Kara Lawson started Chelsea Gray at point guard in the opening game against Senegal. Gray struggled almost immediately. Senegal was blitzing the ball handler, and the offense got disrupted within the first 35 seconds. So Clark checks in off the bench, and instead of getting rattled by the same press defense that was giving Gray problems, Clark just weaponized it. She read the blitz, pushed the pace, and started finding teammates before the defense could recover. The stat line from that game was 17 points, 12 assists, 0 turnovers, in just 19 minutes of court time. She shot 4 of 5 from 3 and went 5 of 5 from the free throw line. Team USA won 110-46. And Clark herself said after the game she was just excited, not nervous, not cautious, just excited. After 239 days off. Now let us talk about what those 12 assists actually meant historically. That single game was the highest assist total ever recorded by any player making their senior national team debut. Not just for Team USA, any player, any country, ever. And on top of that, she recorded the fastest double-double in Team USA debut history. And she is the only player across any country or gender to record a double-double in their very first senior national team game. All of that, off the bench, in 19 minutes. The full tournament picture is even more staggering. Clark finished with 32 total assists across all 5 games, and that led every player on Team USA in every single game she played. She averaged 11.6 points per game and 6.4 assists per game. And her plus-minus across the entire field was plus 109. That was the best mark of any player from any country in the entire tournament, not just Team USA, the whole field. And again, she was doing this in 19-minute bursts, not as the featured player with the ball in her hands for 35 minutes. She was reading defenses, pushing transition, and getting Paige Bueckers and Rhyne Howard's into rhythm before the other team even had time to set up. Then Phoenix Mercury head coach Nate Tibbetts took over, moved Clark into the starting lineup, and built the offense around a guard-heavy pace and space system. Team USA's next game against New Zealand ended 101-46. It was a 55-point blowout. Clark played the most minutes on the roster that game, 23 minutes, while battling the flu. She posted an efficiency rating of 18, the highest on the team, which factors in points, assists, rebounds, and steals together. And Tibbetts went on record after that and said not starting Clark earlier was a mistake. A coach publicly admitting the previous approach was wrong. That does not happen often. So by the end of the week, 14 world records broken, tournament MVP, the youngest MVP in the history of this qualifying event, and the first MVP ever awarded to a player who spent most of the tournament coming off the bench. Clark's response to winning the award was to show up the next game and keep going. The FIBA MVP is a big deal, But Sportico just named Clark the most influential female athlete in 2025. And when you actually look at what her business portfolio looks like right now, you realize that's not even a debate. Let's start with Nike. Clark has the highest Nike endorsement deal of any WNBA player in the history of the league. Not the highest rookie deal, the highest deal. Full stop. And the structure of it isn't built like a typical athlete sponsorship. It includes a signature shoe line and revenue sharing, the kind of setup Nike normally reserves for LeBron James or even Michael Jordan himself. That's the company Clark is now in commercially at 24 years old. Then there's Wilson. Clark has a signature sporting goods line with them, making her the first athlete since Michael Jordan to get that treatment from the brand. Let that actually land for a second. The last person Wilson built a dedicated signature line around was Michael Jordan, and now it's Caitlin Clark. State Farm is next. Clark became the first female athlete ever to serve as a primary endorser for State Farm, a brand that has historically spent its biggest marketing dollars on NFL and NBA stars. They didn't add her to an existing campaign. She became the face of it. She is the first female athlete in the brand's history to hold that spot. And then the Gatorade deal came in, described specifically as record-breaking for a female athlete. So now you've got Nike, Wilson, State Farm, and Gatorade all in the same portfolio. That's not a basketball player's sponsorship list anymore. That's a Fortune 500 strategy. Add Prada on top of all that. Clark is crossing into luxury fashion at 24, and doing it with one of the most recognized brands in the world. Very few athletes of any gender get into that lane this early in their career, and the ones who do tend to stay there for a long time. Now, let's talk about the actual numbers. During her rookie season alone, Clark brought in an estimated $8.1 million in endorsement income. Her base WNBA salary that year was $70,000. Her off-court earnings were 115 times her on-court salary. Most veteran WNBA players don't earn what Clark pulled in from endorsements in her first year, just from Nike alone. Forbes ranked her among the most powerful women in sports. Not women's basketball, not the WNBA specifically, but sports broadly, across every league and every discipline at 24. When Sportico ran their methodology for the most influential female athlete ranking, they were not just counting social media followers or Google searches. They were looking at cultural influence, commercial reach, and the ability to actually move markets. Clark checks every single one of those boxes. Her rookie year drove record WNBA attendance. Her games pulled in record TV ratings. Networks that had never seriously invested in women's basketball started writing bigger checks because of what her presence was doing to their viewership numbers. She didn't just join the WNBA, she changed how the whole business around the league works. Sponsors came in, broadcast deals got more valuable, arenas sold out. And all of that happened in year one, before she had even played a full second season. The basketball and the business are not two separate stories. They are the same story. She dominates on the court, the commercial value follows, and the commercial value grows because she keeps dominating. Heading into the 2026 season with the Fever, both sides of that equation are still trending upward, with no ceiling in sight. Before Puerto Rico, before the FIBA MVP, before Sportico put her on the cover as the most influential female athlete alive, Clark spent her first two WNBA seasons doing something nobody had ever done before. And while she was doing that, Angel Reese was busy doing something very different. Clark's rookie year in the WNBA was the most record-breaking freshman season in league history. 62 records in 1 year. Scoring records, assist records, three-point records, and viewership records tied directly to games she played in. 62. That number sounds made up until you actually start counting what fell. And let's be clear about what 62 records actually means. That's not a hot week or a couple of big games. That's a full season of systematically doing things the league had never seen from a first-year player. Across multiple stat categories, against every defense in the league, week after week after week. She didn't just have a great rookie year, she rewrote what a rookie year was even allowed to look like. So while Clark was doing all of that, Angel Reese was generating her own headlines. She led the league in rebounds her rookie year. And yeah, on the surface, that sounds impressive. But let's talk about where a huge chunk of those rebounds were actually coming from, because analysts were documenting this throughout the whole season. A significant portion of Reese's rebounding total was inflated by offensive rebounds off her own missed shots. She was missing, then grabbing her own miss, and that counted as a rebound. She was essentially getting statistical credit for cleaning up her own mistakes. Analysts across the league were pointing this out all season long, and the numbers backed it up. So you've got Clark on one side, 62 records, transforming how the Fever ran their offense, driving the biggest attendance spikes and TV ratings the league had seen in years. And on the other side, you've got Reese grabbing her own misses and calling it production. That's the comparison nobody in Reese's corner wants to have. The gap didn't close in year 2 either. Clark kept adding to the record total. More assists, more efficient scoring, more evidence that she was operating at a level the league hadn't seen from a guard, maybe ever. The Fever were building something real around her, and you could see it taking shape. And that roster around Clark is genuinely good. Aaliyah Boston is one of the best interior players in the league. Kelsey Mitchell is a bucket. Lexi Hull does the dirty work and does it well. Sophie Cunningham brings toughness and shooting every single night. When you put Clark's playmaking at the center of a group like that, finding the right person at the right time, pushing pace, creating shots before defenses can even think about rotating, the 2026 Fever projection gets really exciting really fast. Because here's what the FIBA tournament actually proved. Clark walked into a brand new environment with teammates she had barely practiced with in a system that wasn't originally built around her strengths. And within days, she was breaking records again, 14 of them. That's not a coincidence. That's the same thing she did in year 1 of the WNBA, just compressed into 1 week. New place, new faces, same result. The 62 records in year 1 weren't hype. They were a warning. And the gap between Clark's career trajectory and Reese's kept growing, not just on the court, but in ways that were starting to show up somewhere a lot more public and a lot more expensive. Nike is actively ramping up its entire marketing machine for Clark's signature shoe line right now. And at the exact same moment, Angel Reese's Reebok shoes are sitting on clearance racks at discounted prices. That's not a coincidence. Reese signed with Reebok with a ton of fanfare. It was positioned as a major brand deal for a rising WNBA star, and there was real buzz around the launch. The shoe dropped, and then nothing happened. Months into the market, the shoes were not selling out. They were not generating any real excitement. They were showing up in bargain bins, marked down, sitting on shelves. For a signature shoe, that is a terrible sign. Now contrast that with what Clark's Nike launch is expected to look like. Industry analysts are predicting her signature shoe will sell out in minutes, not days. Minutes. And that is not hype. Her Kobe Player Edition sneakers already resold for double the retail price immediately after dropping. So the demand is real, and it's already showing up in the market before her signature line even fully hits. That is the gap between these two athletes commercially right now, and it's enormous. And Reebok is not just watching the slow sales quietly. They've reportedly pulled back all marketing support for Reese's shoe line. Not scaled back, pulled back entirely. When a brand goes completely silent on a signature athlete this early in a partnership, that tells you exactly how they are reading the return on their investment. They are not seeing the numbers they need, and they are not throwing more money at the problem. So why is this happening? Because major sponsors do not just look at follower counts. They have entire brand safety teams whose whole job is tracking sentiment, monitoring public behavior, and flagging anything that could connect their brand to controversy. And Reese's pattern of public behavior, the shade toward Clark, the jealousy posts, the very public complaints about spotlight and recognition, That is exactly the kind of thing those teams are paid to catch and flag. And this is not new behavior from Reese either. This goes all the way back to college. Every single time Clark hits a new milestone, Reese finds a way to pull the spotlight toward herself, not to offer congratulations, but to compete for the narrative. It happened repeatedly in the WNBA too. When Forbes ranked Clark 4th on their list of most powerful women in sports, the highest-ranked athlete on that entire list, Reese responded with vague social media posts about others deserving credit, not focused on her own work, just noise about recognition and fairness. And every single time she does that, another brand's legal team is adding a line to a risk assessment document somewhere. So now, we get to the reaction that really set the internet off this week. During the same week, Clark was breaking 14 world records at FIBA and winning tournament MVP. Reese reportedly came out suggesting she deserved an award too. Not pointing to a specific performance, not a specific stat line or a specific game. Just the general idea that she should be getting recognized. While her shoes are on the clearance rack, while Reebok has gone completely silent on her, while Nike is building a global marketing campaign around the player, Reese apparently cannot stop making herself the topic of. Clark's Kobe editions are flipping for double retail. Reese's signature shoe is getting marked down to move units. Clark just won FIBA MVP and broke 14 world records. And Reese's response to all of it was to say she deserves an award too. The 2026 Fever season is coming. Clark is only getting bigger, and this gap is only going one direction. So let's just run the scoreboard real quick. Clark, 14 world records. FIBA MVP, most influential female athlete in 2025. Nike ramping up, record Gatorade deal, Wilson signature line, Prada deal, Sportico cover, Reese, bargain bin shoes, Reebok going completely silent, and a public tantrum about deserving an award that literally nobody was offering her. And the 2026 Fever season has not even started yet. Clark is coming back to Boston with Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham. Fresh off proving she can walk into any environment in the world and immediately break records. And that roster with that player running the show is going to be really fun to watch. Do you think Angel Reese deserves to be in Team USA? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.